Remember to shake from to the right of my back. Right, okay. Hi, welcome to Standards. I am your host, Jocelyn, and this is my panel today. We have Dominique, Naya, and Asosa, and today we're going to be talking about problematic faves. So it's going to be spicy. It's going to be spicy. It's going to be spicy. So in social media culture, we see a lot of the time people get dragged for their actions or for things they might do in regards to their art, and we wanted to kind of talk about, what that means. So I guess I'll start off by asking everyone, because this is I guess a very personal question, depending on the person, but can you separate the art from the artist? Does anyone want to start with it?
All right, I'll start. I'm going to say it really depends for me on the offense that was committed. Also, sorry I sound like a chain smoker. We're all sick. So I promise I'm going to try my best. But
you sound great.
40-year-old chain smoker. But it depends on the offense, basically, because a lot of times people say stupid things, but then their actions aren't even that. You're like I don't know if I could blatantly watch you do these things and then keep supporting you, only because that's my money and my time that I'm wasting. But sometimes the music really slaps, and you're like, fuck, this is so good. Like you really had to call that person, you really had to do that. But you gave us 7 great albums, you really had to do that.
Right.
Who told you to go off like that?
Right. Does anyone else want to answer that? How do you guys
I feel like we can, because with Kanye West, I really don't fuck with him, but his music was really good. That song, you're such a fucking hoe. I was really trying to not bump that shit, but it's so hard because he's fucking canceled. I can't separate the bullshit he's doing from his music. It's just no.
Yeah.
I love the song choice though.
Yeah. Right.
Exceptional.
I love that. Yeah. What about you?
I'm gonna say I have to agree with Dominique. I think it really depends on the offense. Yeah, I think it really depends, and also what the artist does to rectify the situation. Because if you do something that's offensive, that's disrespectful, and you know it is, and you kind of are just oh whatever, I don't really care, then we can move on from there. But if you actually grow and you learn from a situation, I think it really depends on how they move forward. Because I can think of myself, things when I was younger I might not have known were necessarily disrespectful or offensive. It's the fact of learning. Nobody's perfect. So I think it depends.
Yeah, no, I agree with that as well. I think personally there are certain things where I think you have to cross a line morally for me, and then I have to see how you respond to the backlash. Because if it's something that I can't personally support because I feel as though you've done something offensive or you've done something harmful, then I don't want to keep putting my money in and putting my time and attention into this person. But if it is a situation where it seems as though it's coming from a place of ignorance and they want to grow and they want to learn, that's more so where my head goes. I think we see a lot of the times a lot of celebrities will just brush things under the rug or won't address certain things, or will try to double down on their bad behavior rather than just saying I fucked up. So I think it really depends. I guess we can we'll touch on Kanye, because I think that's a huge part of this conversation. I think this right now is really telling how people are reacting to him. So I was never a huge Kanye stan, but I know Dominique was. So I want to hear your thoughts on that.
I'm such a Kanye stan. It's so bad. College Dropout is me. Is me. Graduation, bop after bop after bop. Any Kanye song you hear on the radio now, pre whatever the fuck is going on now, is a banger. All Falls Down.
Right.
Heard him say.
You make bangers, 100%.
And it's just Kanye, what happened? It's really upsetting because I actually have a sticker of him on my laptop.
Girl, throw the laptop away.
I know, I'm gonna throw the whole thing away, but like, I secretly like can't bring myself to take it off.
Right.
Because he's
It
so
hurts,
it
yeah.
does.
Yeah.
It's painful.
Do you feel like, because a lot of people think that this behavior is like new for him, but do you feel like there has been like a pattern at all, or like personally, because I was never like a super close fan, so I think I like never really, like, I think I was more so always more critical of him than like other people might be. So I would just see like he always trended towards like whiteness. Like he always trended, well, not always, but like more so in the past, I would say like 10 years or so, we've always heard him talk about like wanting light-skinned women. He married into like the, you know, this family and things like that. So like, do you feel like this is just like an extension of him just moving more and more towards that, or do you feel like he's just in like a,
I don't know, it's a weird transition because if you listen to, I believe it's Late Registration, the whole thing is like HBCU theme. Like there are literally skits of people stepping like broke by broke, like we ain't got it, like that's me, like but it's like someone who created such black art at a time, and then seeing him wear a MAGA hat, you're like, yeah, I don't know. A lot of people use the excuse that like his mom died, so now he doesn't like he lost his identity. Like 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 okay, like at what point does that stop? Because he is a grown ass man, and his mom died like 10 years ago.
Exactly.
But
nice, dropped my.
But I get it. Like losing such an integral piece of your family and a piece of you is definitely hard. And so I'm like, who am I to tell him how to grieve? Like if he wants to wear a MAGA hat, he wants to wear a MAGA hat. But I'm like.
But his reason for wearing the MAGA hat, he was like, oh yeah, it makes me feel like Superman or some shit.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really having a hard time trying to stick up for Kanye. There's this meme. It's like me barely holding on to my love for Kanye, and it's like Kanye.
I'm gonna insert that meme right there.
Oh, you wanted to love me and my music?
Right.
It's so hard. I don't know. I'm over it. I love him though.
Okay.
I feel like I feel like we're on two separate spectrums. I feel like I'm closer to you, Jocelyn, because everyone's talking to me like, what the heck? But I honestly only know like a few Kanye West songs. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I feel like a song where I can be like, oh shoot, like that's Kanye. Let me sing this is American Boy and The Good Life. Like that's honestly that's it. Like I know his other songs. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
But like. Obviously, I know Kanye songs, but where I'm like, oh, okay, like this is good Kanye. Like those are the only two songs I think of, unless it's like blinking my mind right now. But I feel like Kanye's been saying sketchy things for a while now. If I'm not mistaken, like didn't he have like Confederate flags on his like clothes?
Yes.
Because I'm just like,
I forget because so much has been happening.
Because I feel like now people are like, oh my gosh. He randomly came back on Twitter, started tweeting out all this inspirational stuff, and people were like, yes, like Kanye. And I'm just there like, wait, like, okay, like this seems like a fan account. Like, you know, when people are like, Post Malone is talking about like heartache and love, and you're like, all right, this is a fan-made account. So, like, I'm just like, okay.
It's just like, this is a parody account.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but then like, people are like, yes, Kanye, yes. And then he started saying more and more stuff, and I'm just like, okay. But again, I personally am not big on canceling culture, but I also feel like for Kanye, you know, speaking obviously I don't know him personally, but if you're put on a high pedestal and you start saying stuff, it's like a huge falling out.
Right.
But like I just honestly feel like he's been saying some things where you're like, interesting.
Nice giving the side eye.
What do you have to say, Naya?
Oh, I just think he's canceled, period. Like, once you like supporting some racist shit, no, you're canceled. Like, we're supposed to be looking up to, like, as a black man, like, supposed to be, you know, representing us and fucking representing Trump. Like, no, you're canceled. It's over.
Do you feel like he has an obligation to represent us because he is a black man, or do you feel like because his reach is so far, it has an effect on us? Because personally, I feel like, personally, I don't support people who don't support me. I try not to support people who don't support me. And so, like, when Kanye was doing all this, I was like, okay, so that's a dub. But I do think that sometimes, like, we put so much weight on like what celebrities do and say, whereas it's not always necessarily like their job to speak for us, but they do have to recognize their power, because Kanye has a huge white fan base as well, and like we saw when his comments
increased.
Yes, it's increased dramatically, and now there are a lot of his fans who are in agreement with him and saying, oh no, y'all need to listen to him, he's the right kind of black people. And I'm like, no, that is not the case. So like, do you feel like sometimes like they should be responsible with it, or is it just more so like there's consequences to their actions? Like,
this is a good question. Because I feel like it's unfortunate that I have different answers for different celebrities.
right.
No, I feel you on that.
I don't want to be hypocritical.
Yeah,
but I'm like, we know Kanye is crazy. Why are y'all even to say things that make sense? Like, he's always been on that like edgy, like, I'm gonna do something to piss somebody off, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna make this black ass, I'm gonna make white people mad, and then like,
I don't want to make black people mad.
I'm gonna get on FEMA and say I hate the black, like,
right.
And then with the Taylor Swift thing, like, and then making models out. What was that? Oh God, which music video?
Oh my God, yeah.
With the big ass bed.
Yes, I know exactly what music video you're talking about.
Yes.
And he put Donald Trump in the bed. He put Taylor Swift. He put Chris Brown and Rihanna next to. Yeah. See, this is
it was a mess.
Because I remember when that came out, and I was disgusted. I was like, how dare he put Chris Brown laying next to Rihanna in that bed? Like, that was horrifying. But anyway, sorry.
Wow, we're really unpacking this, because I really blocked all this stuff out.
Yes,
You definitely did, girl.
I definitely did. I forgot all this happened.
Right.
Kanye,
Pulling out receipts today.
Yeah, I'm like, Kanye, who? Never. Like, what?
Right.
I started off so strong.
No.
Yes, Kanye doesn't deserve it. I'm like,
yeah, I think, in those instances too, like, I think the reason we forget is because typically he comes back with a good album, he comes back with a good shoe, and we're like, oh wait, Kanye just did something right there,
Yes.
and then we forget that, but he was also doing all this other shit, you know what I mean? I know when Yeezus came out, there were a lot of people who were very, very upset about that, because they felt as though he was like making a mockery out of like Jesus and like the religion and things like that, and it's just like, it's like everything that Kanye does involves controversy, and you start to think like, is the controversy some shit that he's very well aware of, but is it orchestrated, or is is he just not all the way there sometimes? Like, I don't know, I'd be struggling back and forth with that too, because it's like, I don't want to make excuses for him, but sometimes his actions have me questioning like, who is in your circle, and like, is anyone looking out for you? Because some of the things, like, no one should have allowed him to get on TMZ, or he shouldn't have even thought to get on TMZ and say something like slavery was a choice. And like, I've watched the interview multiple times, and I'm able to look at it and see like what he was trying to do, but like, it was so far off that he like, it was horrific, you know what I mean? Like, and I feel like if he had someone there to tell him like, don't say that shit, like, he wouldn't have said that shit, you know?
he's a Kardashian now, so
It's
difficult. So I think it's actually a good point you made. Like, is the controversy just like for fun, for views and stuff like that? Because that's something Kanye's known to do.
Yes.
Well, I don't know. He's putting on a real good act. And I'm a little nervous. Like, I'm like, this shit might just be real. Like, and plus he's rich, so I'm not surprised. Sometimes in politics class, it always does. I was really trying to be like, well, no. Class always overpowers race, but we're disguising it with race.
Yes.
So that's why he's probably like, am I really black? Like, I have all this money now. Like,
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm just confused on the whole, like, you trying to be, I don't know, stir controversy, where it's like, why do you have to pick at things that shouldn't be discussed in that way? Like, you wanna get people talking about you, like, why are you bringing up slavery?
100%.
And talking about that it's a choice. Like, Andre 3000, I don't think he's controversial or anything like that. I'm just using the example, like, I know he would wear, I don't know, more feminine clothes, or he'd get on stage with like a pink wig or like a blonde wig, or he'd do stuff like that where it's like, that can get people talking, but that's not offending anybody, you know? And it's not a fact of being, oh, you're being sensitive, or, you know, you're being too politically correct. Like, there are things that are not okay to start talking about, like, I don't know why slavery is, you know what I'm saying, where it's like, okay, how come everything has to go back to black people, and like, why are you talking about slavery, like, why are you talking about these things, where it's like, you can be controversial in other ways, where it doesn't have to do that. If you're gonna take a political stance, like, you can say Beyonce's Lemonade, she was definitely being controversial, but she wasn't, like, offending anybody. If you're offended, we gotta talk, because there's nothing for you to be offended about, you know, with what she did. But it's more so in the, like, let me just play on things that don't need to be played on. Like, let me just state my opinion for no reason and get people mad. Like, you can start conversation without disrespecting people.
100%. You wanna? No, 100%. And I felt like with that TMZ interview and like the way, what was his name, Van Lathan? I'm not sure. I have to look up his name, but the way he gathered him together and was like, this is not free thinking. I don't think you're free thinking at all. I think that you're doing the opposite of it. And I think that was true, because what Kanye, where his trajectory was going was he was trying to say, you know, we still are mentally enslaved or whatever, but like, no, that's not, first off, that's not the platform to speak on these issues. You're going to a white news outlet that's known for just stirring up drama and like not even known for being credible, and you're gonna get on there and say that shit. And then on top of that, when you get called out for your comments, then you want to hug it out with with him instead of actually unpacking this, you know what I mean? And then like, I don't know if anyone else saw his interview with the president, or when he sat down, or not interview, but the discussion. And I was watching it and I was like, oh my God, like, it's beyond concerning at this point. Like, the things that he's saying are no longer just controversial, they're worrisome. Like, I think someone needs to check on this man, because he was making comments about how, like he said, he puts on the hat, he feels like a superhero, you know? He said that he never got that male energy. He feels like Trump's platform is giving him that male energy, and I'm like, wait, hold on, like, and everyone else in the room looked uncomfortable too, because this is just not. They're probably like, what's this black man doing here? That's probably why they're uncomfortable. But 100%.
A black? How did you?
Yeah, so it's just like, I don't know, it's very concerning to watch. And then what's also concerning is how many people you see excusing his behavior, because a lot of his fans are just like, oh, fuck it, like, who cares, like, and it's like, part of me wants to be like, yeah, like, great, go ahead, listen to your shit, but like, we can't act like his opinions and his comments that he makes in public don't have effects on us, because they do, because the people that are believing him, like, we're interacting with them every day. He's sitting somewhere in his home or whatever, living his best life. He's not, you know, having to deal with the repercussions of what it means to see someone with Kanye's power get on TV and say, yeah, like, vote for Trump. Like, that's a big thing. So, I don't know.
I don't know. I think he might be depressed or something, because, I don't know. Or the sunken place. He's with Kim K, so I'm really not surprised. Not her marriage last.
The tea. I mean, I know that he has been very public and honest about the fact that he suffers with mental illness and that he does have bipolar disorder, but he's also went on record saying that, like, he feels like his disorder is his superpower and that he doesn't take his medication and things like that. And it's like, I don't know how to be responding to that, because as someone who I don't suffer from bipolar disorder, I don't know what that's like. I don't know. And I don't feel like we should be able to tell anybody what they should or shouldn't, how they should or shouldn't be handling their mental health. But it is something that I think is also, like, we can't ignore altogether in this conversation. Because if that is something that's happening, then, like, we also have to be aware of the fact that, like, that is also going to be a contributor in the kind of things he goes out there and says, you know? I don't know.
Yeah. I think just going back to mental health, though, is definitely be aware of it, but to some extent that can't be like a cop-out.
Right.
If we're having, you know, discussions like this where we can actually, you know, indulge in both of these and say, okay, he's saying problematic things, we can add mental health in that and actually discuss it. But when people are just like, oh no, he has like a mental health issue, that's why he's acting like this, and then that's it, and it's kind of like an excuse, because that further stigmatizes mental health, and it makes people that might struggle with that, you know, feel a type of way, like, okay, like, I've never said anything like this, I've never done anything like this, like, that's not an excuse for you to be acting buck wild,
Yeah.
so.
No, I completely agree because I think that's the excuse that's given often is, oh, well, his mom died, he's married to the Kardashians and he's not doing well. And I'm like, okay, well, at some point, we can't just keep saying, those same, comments and excusing that behavior. And because it's not just Kanye, like we see it with other celebrities too. We're gonna get down and dirty and go down the list. I wanted to touch on R. Kelly because I know R. Kelly is a classic. Like in many Black households, everyone loves R. Kelly. His bodies of work, people are like, he's phenomenal, and he's made great music. However, I have been so disgusted by the lack of holding him accountable for his actions and excusing what he has done to a lot of young Black women. And I feel like the reason that it's excused is because it's a lot of young Black women, the people that he has harmed, and we don't take crimes against Black women in general, but especially Black women seriously. So how do you guys feel about R. Kelly? What are your opinions of him? Because
on site is what I say.
On site.
Honestly, thank God my household is not big at all on R. Kelly. I don't know, it also might be because I'm African, so it's not we don't really have Black artists, these are token Black artists that we uplift. But R. Kelly, since I was younger, I'm like, wait, am I missing something that no one else seems to be getting? I think, again, if I can touch on Kanye a bit, it's people think these are new behaviors, these are new things. People forget that R. Kelly literally married Aaliyah when she was, 15?
She was 14 or 15 years
15,
old.
14? Literally married her, but people are like, oh, we don't really know. I mean, this is just alleged stuff, and it's more so, let's make jokes about R. Kelly. But ever since his newest stunt with, what was he doing, holding girls hostage at his house?
Yeah, there were a lot of reports that came out that women were being groomed and brought to his home and then not being able to see their families again.
Yeah. And then he sold out concerts after that.
Oh,
literally, sold out. And it's how does this man still have a platform? How does he still have a fan base? Things like that are just very disturbing.
Right, Kelly. You're about to get started, you're just
yeah,
I really hate him.
Yeah.
It's crazy because every family event, they'll play some R. Kelly stuff, and not even the popular one, the obscure ones.
Right.
All right, this song isn't even that popular. It's not even a banger.
Right.
And I always the buzzkill because I'm looking around y'all really about to step? Y'all be about to do this? It's a backyard party now? And they're like, yeah! Spray. I'm like, no. So that's the women stuck in his basement. They're tired of hearing this shit on repeat. Leave him alone. Yes. And I don't know, R. Kelly, because that's a crime. That is a crime.
Yes.
And at least with the other ones I think are on this list, they're not outright doing criminal offenses. You know what I mean? You sound dumb, and the things that you're saying have horrible repercussions politically. But this man is out here doing this man needs to be in jail behind bars. He's literally called the Pied Piper.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No, I mean. Yeah, I agree. He's disgusting.
If y'all can get Bill Cosby, get R. Kelly too. Don't wait till he's 70
And the thing is, though, the reason that they got Bill Cosby is because the amount of white women who came out against him.
Yes.
Because what Bill Cosby did was horrific and disgusting and everything. But I think the treatment of that case was the way it was because it was a Black man who had been accused by all of these white women saying that he had done these things to them. We've been hearing rumors and we've been hearing accusations against R. Kelly for years, like we just said, since Aaliyah. We have known something is up. That's the reason that Aaliyah's uncle, who was in charge of all of her work at the time, that's why he cut ties with R. Kelly, and that's why a lot of her music isn't available in a lot of places, because he wasn't aware of that and he was disgusted by it, and then you produce her album, you help her work on her album, and the album is called Age Ain't Nothing But a Number.
And he's being a creeper in the back. If you look at the cover, he's literally creeping in the back.
And it's just at some point, and then he had the case with the woman the young girl that he peed on. And that came and went. People thought that that was just funny. I know that they did a Boondocks episode about it, and like I'm not saying that the Boondocks isn't hilarious, but like that shit had me kind of feeling away because I was like, this isn't really funny. Like this is a serious thing, and like it might not be to a lot of people because I don't think they take these things that he's done seriously because we see them happen in our communities very often. Like the prowl of young black women, like teenage black women by these older men is so relevant still like today. And I think that's why that's why a lot of people kind of turn the other cheek because they know people in their family in their families who have done that, or they themselves have went after girls who were like 14 and they're like 25. You know what I mean? Like it's just very upsetting.
No, that Boondocks episode was accurate though. Yeah. You're like, R. Kelly can sing whatever he wants. And it's like that blatant satire where like, no, it's kind of like
so
those new Onion head titles. You're this is scarily accurate. Like, this could very well be real news.
Right. No, 100%.
Yeah, I feel like everyone's just picking and choosing like who needs to be held accountable for like their actions. And like, no, everyone needs to, like with the whole Bill Cosby thing. Like, you know, he went to jail. Okay, well, what about all these other white men that are doing the same thing as him? We need to hold everyone accountable for their actions because they're doing the same thing.
Right, and that's where the double standards come in. Standards. And no, that's what I mean, and that's why like I started the show, especially because I feel like women of color, like we live by a completely different set of double standards, but there's just double standards within our society in general. So like, of course, you see someone like Bill Cosby, like we want, like the book needs to be slammed on him from America's standpoint, like he needs to be put away, locked up for good. But then we see people like Harvey Weinstein, and we're like, not we, but America, they're like, well, do we really know if he did it? Do we really think? And I remember when Lupita came out against what he did to her, and that was like the first accusation where he was like, I did not do that. And I'm like, that's like the first accusation you're getting from a black woman, and it's very interesting that happens to be the one that you want to say you didn't do, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And like, in terms of R. Kelly and Bill Cosby, you had the Cosby Show, and he was such like a positive figure for black men, and just how he portrayed the black family, where I'm like, okay, that hurts. I'm like, R. Kelly, okay, like you guys can only step in the name of love for so long before you're like, all right, like we can turn off the music. Like Bill Cosby, he's so ingrained in like uplifting blackness, where it's like, okay, like that can hurt. I can see where people are like, oh my gosh, is this true? Like I'm in shock. R. Kelly, I'm like, when he was putting out all this stuff, he was still doing all this pedophile crap. Like it wasn't like, oh my God, R. Kelly, like what are we gonna do?
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it.
No, it's been since like the start of his career we've seen it.
Yeah, I would not miss him if like he did go to jail. I'm sorry.
I still don't miss. I don't miss
him
now.
Yeah.
I have no intentions whatever. So what do you feel about artists like? Because as we're on the topic of R. Kelly, who have done some criminal things. This past summer, XXXTentacion or XX, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. He had passed away, which, you know, it's sad to see anyone on a very young age pass away. But a lot of the sentiment around his death was a lot of people were glorifying him, you know, saying that he was a phenomenal artist and that he was gone too soon. And then there were a lot of people who were like, why are we glorifying this man? And he was known to do this, this, and that. Like, he had a domestic violence case against his ex-girlfriend, and he had beaten her so horrifically. And then he got co-signed by people like Kendrick and saying he's the best artist out right now and things like that. Yeah, so how do you feel about in those instances? Like, how do we handle that? Because I know a lot of people thought it was insensitive to, you know, not really grieve his death, but there are a lot of women who are like, we've had what he did happen, like what he did to her, we've had that happen to us, and I don't feel sorry for what happened to him, and I shouldn't have to feel sorry for what happened to him. So what do you guys kind of feel about that?